Mel Gibson was on the Joe Rogan podcast talking about the sequel to The Passion of the Christ. Watch along.
When you're making this resurrection movie now, you also have this obligation. There's this. You're doing a very similar thing that you were doing with The Passion of the Christ, where this is a profound story.
Yes.
When you put something like that together, how do you choose who's going to be the next Jesus?
You use him again.
Caviezel.
Yeah, I know it's 20 years later. It's 20 years later, but it's...
but it's the right guy.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be 3 days later, but he got 20 years older. And I think I have to use a few techniques that they've started to get really good with
the CGI and they can do amazing things now.
You can actually get some of the same people.
And by the time you film it, it'll be even better.
Yeah.
know? When are you going to start filming?
I'm hoping next year sometime. There's a lot required because it is, I'll just tell you this, it's an acid trip.
Wow. That right there, that clip you watched along with us is amazing. I'm excited. I'm glad that they're actually doing the movie next year. We're very soon. We could see this movie in 2026. So excited for it. So excited that Jim Caviezel is back. I think if they didn't bring back Jim Caviezel, there'll be riot in the streets. So I'm excited.
When we wrote it, it is like, I've never read anything like it. And my brother and I and Randall all sort of congregated on this. So there's some good heads put together, but there's some crazy stuff. And I think in order to really tell the story properly, you have to start with the fall of the angels, right?
Yeah.
Which is you're in another place. You're in another realm. You know, you need to go to hell. You need to go to Sheol.
So you're going to have hell? You're going to have Satan, all that?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Sure, you got to, yeah.
Right.
You got to have his origin.
How do you depict that?
This is a good question. And I think I have ideas about how to do that, and ideas about how to evoke things and emotions in people from the way you depict it and the way you shoot it. So I've been thinking about it for a long time.
Wow. So not only is this movie going to be incredible, capitalizing on the resurrection, but it's going to be exploring the different realms, good versus evil, battling over people, souls, showing the whole journey of fallen angels and spiritual warfare going on in between the time of Jesus and other stories throughout the Gospels. I think this is going to be pretty far out, but it's going to really visualize the spiritual warfare going on leading up to Jesus resurrecting and following him leaving this earth.
So it's not going to be easy, and it's going to require a lot of planning. And I'm not wholly sure I can pull it off, to tell you the truth. It's really super ambitious. But I'll take a crack at it, because that's what you got to do, right? Walk up to the plate, right? So I think I can get it. But it's not about me, you know.
Right.
It's about something else.
Well, if anybody can do it, you can do it.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
It's trying to find the way in that's not like cheesy or obvious.
Wow. I love that he breaks it down and he is just being brave about it and taking a crack at it. It is a big project. This is definitely a lot harder to pull off than just the Passion that he did, because this is in the Bible. It's a shorter few chapters about the resurrection, but the fact that he's going back to hell and talking about it. And I love the last part where it says, this is not about me. This is about something bigger. Love that from Mel.
I think he showed humility in talking about this, and I think he knows that the scope of this film is beyond just the event, the resurrection. It's everything that happened before and everything that happened after, and especially in the spiritual realm where you have good and bad fighting over people, and just seeing how impacted maybe the bad was by Jesus resurrecting, which is such a novel and deep concept. I love that he's exploring it. And I love his heart that he, again, is saying basically this film is bigger than just himself, and it's not about himself. It's about something much bigger than him.
Do you have a title?
Yeah, it's just like the resurrection of the Christ. Yeah, it's like, so that's a title. And yeah, it's very ambitious. That's all I'll say. It took a long time to write. It's really ambitious, and it goes from like the fall of the angels to the death of the last apostle.
Do you have a start date?
I don't have a start date. I just have to begin pre-production.
I love that. I love the title that he picks. It's just the resurrection of the Christ, and it's simple. I like what he said there. I want to point out that he says it's gonna go to the death of the last apostle. That part I was not expecting. I was not expecting to actually talk about, hey, Jesus died, Jesus rose again, and the apostles gave their lives to share about Jesus and the last apostle's death. That is a key thing.
In its own time. It's taken its own time. I thought it was late. I thought, well, it's taking too long. But it's probably just right. Yeah. It's when it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, if you believe that, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope you're right.
I think I'm right. My instincts are that I'm right.
Yeah.
And if I was going to trust anybody with that story, it would be you.
I think it's so cool that Joe just said that if there's anyone he would trust with this story, it would be him. That's saying a lot. I think Joe has been at times far away from being accepting of Jesus, and the fact that he is almost loving the fact that Mel is making this movie is very encouraging, and I'm excited to see this movie come to fruition. And I love seeing Joe have encouragement and passion for Mel. Passion, pun intended. Having passion for Mel making this movie.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a massive thing. And theologically, it's something that you have to really look at and make correlations that ring true. Because it's not all written.
Do you consult with someone, like a biblical scholar?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Yeah. And, of course, there's your own a thing that comes into it from having read the book a few times. You read the book a few times, and it's amazing how your memory, how there's these recessive files somewhere in the background, how you can correlate this piece to that piece over there. And that's important because juxtaposition is everything with this story. And what it means in a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's hard to explain, but it's quite involved.
Yeah, well, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Wow. I absolutely love that. I love that Mel Gibson said he's going to get a biblical scholar, or more than one of them, to actually make sure the story in the sequel is biblically accurate. But I would say my favorite part about that clip we just watched was Mel Gibson saying that he read the book multiple times. And this is a guy, a famous Hollywood A-lister at one point, and he said, like, I've read the Bible many, many times, and then now I'm taking my take to explain it, rather than just, I think a lot of Hollywood filmmakers, it's like, they heard of the story and it's like, okay, let's just reimagine the whole thing. Let's just make it my own, and it's completely not related to the Bible. I absolutely love that part.
I love that he talked about juxtaposing the scripture, meaning he is going to show how the resurrection relates to the beginning, the fall of the angels, right? Like, he's going to show the context and importance of this incredible event and how the resurrection impacted the disciples later on, where when they were being pursued by the Romans, they basically lost their lives because they said the truth in that they followed Jesus and they saw him resurrected, and they lost their lives because of it. And I think it's going to be incredible to see the magnitude of this resurrection event before the resurrection ever happened, hundreds of years before, and even after it happened, in the disciples that continued to follow Jesus even though he wasn't around on the earth anymore, and how it impacted them. And we can then see how it impacts us today, right? So I think it's a very beautiful thing to see the full magnitude of the resurrection on a grand scale, seeing spiritual warfare in action, seeing how it's impacted humanity time and time again. If you like this video, make sure to watch this next one right here.